Hey there, it's Steve Moody. Thank you so much for watching. Listen, when we start to talk about wedding receptions, being a DJ myself, usually when people call, the biggest question that they ask me is, do you have a photographer that you can recommend? Do you have somebody that, can do a phenomenal job for us? And I tell all my brides the same thing. I said, you want to look for two things. You want to look for somebody that not only takes just extraordinary pictures, but you also want to look for somebody that is just a person that you can have around with you all day, because you're going to be spending more time with your photographer than, thank you. You're going to spend more time with your photographer than anybody else the entire process. And so you want to find somebody that you're very comfortable with so that they can get you into those pictures. And I'm sitting here with somebody that can do that for you. This is my good buddy Alexander. Hello. Hello. And he has been in the photography business for quite some time now, and just is known throughout the area for doing some amazing things. Why don't you tell people a little bit about how you get started with them? So somebody makes the phone call and they call and they say, hey, are you available for my wedding? Let's talk about how we get started from there. Go ahead.
Yeah, usually the questions that people ask is first if you're available, and then for some reason what they ask usually that is kind of not important is the price.
Sure. Well, price is always the first thing everybody ever asks for.
And it's important,
right?
But when you're picking your photographer, it's really important to know if you like the pictures first. It doesn't matter if it's expensive or if it's cheap. You want to know if the photographer was able to produce high quality work.
Certainly.
And then you can figure out your budget and talk it over. Right. So let's look at why we are unique and what we do, what we bring to the table.
Sure.
Is our style, really. No matter what the cost is, the style is what separates us from the competition. And what we do is we capture the event with creative storytelling approach. We blend fine art, we blend photojournalism, classical portraiture, all together, a little bit of fashion, to really capture the day with lots of details, lots of candids, timeless portraits, etc., etc. If you look at the website and if you browse through the images,
right, there's some right behind us here too.
You'll see the story, you'll see the lovely details, you'll see the love, you'll see the fun that we capture, at the party or at the ceremony, at the event. So take a look at the pictures, see if you like the style of the photographer who you're hiring, and then talk about the price, the package, customize it to your need. And ask more questions.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not the end. There's always more questions. On an average wedding, a bride calls you and she says, I want you to shoot my ceremony, shoot the reception. Did the bride still have you come over in the morning to their home and have you shoot them getting ready for their wedding ceremony?
Oh, absolutely. It's a part of the story. So you're getting ready, you're putting the makeup, you're putting the the hair, making the hair right. We don't have to capture before and after. But we'd love to capture that final touches.
Right.
Putting the dress on, things like that.
So I'm telling you, from the very first moment you wake up in the morning on your wedding day, all the way through the ceremony, and then all the way through the reception, all the way to the end, this is the person you're going to have to deal with, right? This is somebody that you want to be very comfortable with. So, that's really something to keep in mind, and I can't stress that enough. The work is phenomenal, the person's character, and I think a lot of times people forget that. When you're hiring the different services for your wedding reception, you're not only hiring a specific product, but you're hiring the people behind that service, and so you do want to find somebody that you're comfortable with.
And fun.
And fun, How many, really, think about how many hours that is from the beginning all the way to the end, and then you've still got to do touch-ups on the photography after you're done. I mean, it's just hours and hours of work.
Yes, what we spend at the wedding is just the beginning. We spend many hours behind the scenes, backstage,
sure,
enhancing the image. Of course, we're a strong believer getting it right in the camera, but even the latest equipment, it's just a computer. And that human touch of adjusting exposure, color saturation, etc., etc. I don't want to bore you with that stuff.
Right, but it goes on,
It definitely enhances the image.
Now, so bringing this up, there is so much technology out there for the average person to buy, and I would like to get your thoughts on this. There are so many brides now that are saying, maybe I don't need a professional photographer. My Uncle Bill has got a great camera. My cousin John has a great camera, and though their camera might be great, they're not going to get the same style of photography they're going to get from you.
I think I understand your question. You'll have a lot of photographers at your wedding. I mean, think of all the uncles and aunts and
sure, and disposable cameras, even,
with their fancy cameras, digital. It's really. I'll ask you a question. If I'll give you a knife, will you become a surgeon?
Right.
You know, you're hiring an artist, a professional expert, capturing the day, knowing all the little elements, the light, how to see the light, how to pose you, how to make you feel comfortable in front of the camera. That's why you're hiring us.
Certainly.
It's not the fancy, you know, the latest technology. It's really the craft that we bring to the table.
Right, and I say this all the time too. I want you to think about this for just a second. Say that you call a bridal salon and you call them and you say, hey, do you have a bridal gown in my size? And they say yes. 9 times out of 10, you're not just going to buy that over the phone. You want to go in, you want to try it on, make sure it's a good fit for you. And I would say the same thing with your photographer. I think it's always a great idea, you know, after that initial phone conversation, to definitely meet in person, see what they have to offer, and see if you click. Do you agree with that?
I agree. Take it a step further. Hire a photographer for just a portrait session. Just a small portrait session. It might cost you a couple $100, but it's much worth to know if you really enjoy working with the photographer and seeing the quality of work that you know, we or they produce. Then you can make a decision to spend a couple $1,000s with them.
Sure thing.
You know?
Hey, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to share with anybody?
Well, make sure you have fun at the reception.
Well, then you always get better pictures. I mean, that's much better than when the people are just sitting at their tables with their hands folded up like this and their chins on their head. You know,
that's of course right. I would like to suggest to go on our website and get some ideas for the wedding. You don't have to hire us.
Website's at the bottom.
Yes, but you can definitely get some new, fresh ideas with the latest styles. We photograph a lot of events, and that's a way to get really open up your mind to some new and the latest.
Great. Thank you so much for checking this out, and thank you for talking with us.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Thank you.